find the endings of book series very bittersweet. It makes it such a fun read. I'm really afraid. We might even read another book after. We might even continue another series, why not? That's the plan. I have started 16 different book series and I've not gotten up to date or finished them. So in today's reading vlog, we're going to be tackling more books of series that I'm in the middle of reading. Now I've done a couple of these on my channel before. I think they're just like a really fun way to mood read my TBR, but kind of make my TBR a little bit smaller. We're kind of focusing on completing series. And I used to be a habitual book binger. I would pick up one series and read a series from the beginning to the end of the series until it was done. And then I stopped doing that for some reason. I don't know. So I'm trying to get back into that. But there's been series that I maybe soft DNF'd, series that I picked up and wasn't itching or racing to continue on with them. So I'm being a little bit more strict. I'm being a little bit more particular with what I'll be continuing, what I want to read, and I'm honestly just going to be more honest with myself. So out of the 16 series that I'm kind of in the middle of at the moment, I'm going to hopefully try and read 3 books in this reading vlog to tick those books off my list and get them done. So that in that way we can maybe complete the series we're in the middle of, get up to date with all of the books that I need to get up to date with, and then can just enjoy mood reading my TBR. So let's have a look at what our TBR for this reading vlog is. I currently have 6 books that are parts of series that I'm in the middle of that I want to read, and I'm going to read them this week. This is my TBR for the week. We're going to try and work our way through as many of these 6 books that I can physically pick up and have time to read. So will I get them all done? I don't know. I guess we'll have to watch this video to find out and see, because at this current moment, in the present day, I have no idea. But I would like to read every single book on this TBR, because then it will mean that I am getting up to date or completing 5 different book series. So what are we going to read first? Where are we going to start? These are actually all the books that are on my priority TBR to complete or to get through in this video. The first one is A Fate So Dark and Delicate, the 4th and final book in the Compelling Fates Saga, because this finishes the entire series. This wraps it up, and I have an early copy of the book to read before it is released in December, so I would like to read that. It's one of my favorite series that I've read this year, and I really want to know what happens. So that's maybe what we're going to start with first, but I also have the Bane Chronicles because I really need to work my way back into the Shadowhunters universe. I kind of deviated last month. We need to get back to this, so this is the next book that I need to pick up in the reading order. I also have The Shadows Between Us, which this is on my TBR for this month, and I was waiting for the Fairy Loot copy of the book to come so that it could match my book number 2 in this little interconnected duology, because I read book 2 first and now I'm going back and reading book 1, but they follow a different sister and her own romance storyline, but really fun, fast-paced, easy to read. I have this. I have Princess of Blood by Sarah Hawley to read, because this is a recent release. This is book 2 in a series that I picked up this year, and I have been highly anticipating this, but I've heard the ending is absolutely insane, so I want to see what it is about. And then there's a trilogy that I want to finish. So I read book 1, Iron and Embers, which is part of the Ashes of Thesmar trilogy series earlier this year, and books 2 and 3 were also published and came out this year. So now that book 3 has finally come out, I can read and complete the trilogy. So it would be good if we could at least maybe pick up one of these books and work our way through, but this is the TBR we're working with for this video, and this is the first book I'm going to be starting off with, so let's pick this up. So book number 1, A Fate So Dark and Delicate, the 4th and final book in this series, comes out in December, and like I said, I am reading an early copy of this that the author has sent to me, so I'm very excited to be reading this. It's one of my favorite series I've found this year. It was a 5-star read for me. I love the series, I love the characters, I love the world. We have even more point of views added after book 2, and this has the most to date, so highly anticipating it. Ends of series also make me very nervous, especially when it's like a 5-6 star series for me. So earlier this year when I picked up this series, I believe it was indie self-published, but I think it is now being picked up for traditional publishing in the US, which is very exciting. But I have the series. It is right here on my shelves, the first 3 books. So I'm very excited to have the physical copy of book 4 when the book comes out, but I cannot wait. I have the book here in November, so I'm going to read it. I'm not going to wait a whole month to read it in December. So very excited to read that, very nervous for it to finish. But in book 1, we are essentially following our main female character who is Fae and has been locked up in this king's dungeon. And after many years, he allows her freedom and says he will let her go, but she needs to swear a blood oath to him. And then after a few years, he comes to use the blood oath to his benefit and says as part of it, she will have to run in the upcoming human elections. And even though she is this half Fae and half human, she's also half Fae, and the Fae and the human in this town don't really get on at all. So she's kind of putting herself up for these human elections, which do have like these elements of a trial in it, but I very much loved book 1. It was a 5-star read for me. It really took me by surprise. Book 2 was even better. I love book 2. Book 2 is my favorite in the series so far, but we'll see how book 4 goes. So obviously I can't really say too much of exactly what's going to be happening with many or pretty much all of the books in this vlog because I will be working my way through series, but I will talk about, you know, non-spoiler thoughts and feelings and overall opinions. So I'm gonna put my headphones on, listen to my brown noise and start A Fate So Dark and Delicate. Hello everyone, so A Fate So Dark and Delicate, we're almost halfway through, and I think because all the books in this series are like 400 pages, so it's quite quick to fly through it compared to like a normal fantasy romance series. So if you are looking for a really bingeable fantasy romance series that is completed or is about to be in December, but I have a copy of this, so to me it is now complete. It will be complete in December, but 4 books, all around 400 pages, 450 pages each, wraps up. It's fantastic. I'm honestly having the best time. I find the endings of book series very bittersweet because I'm so happy for the resolutions and I am excited because of the anticipation of what's to come, of how it's going to end, how we're going to resolve things. But I'm also sad because it means that we're going to leave these characters and potentially even this world, depending on what the author has planned to write next. But I do love this story. I think it's one of my favourite series that I've read this year. I'm so excited to see what the author comes out with next, but right now, to be around halfway through the book, I'm having so much fun. I started this book last night in bed and I read maybe like 130-ish pages, and then I had some time this evening after work to do, I'm trying to do 30 minutes of walking on my walking pad every day, just 30 minutes, a little bit each and every day, and then that means I'm getting 30 minutes of reading in, but also 30 minutes of physical activity because I find this time of year when it's darker outside, it's colder, I'm less likely to go out for longer walks like I do in the summertime. So I'm like, I have my walking pad, I haven't used it in a while, let's kill 2 birds with 1 stone, let's use the pad that I've spent money on and read and then make time for it. But I'm trying to give myself a reward after. So I think, I don't know, it could be, I really want to get a new hoodie and jogger sweat set, maybe from Tala. You know, if I can do it 30 minutes every day for 30 days, I'm going to reward myself with something. So I'm still trying to figure out what my high value reward is because I need that to motivate me to continue going. But anyways, we're getting so off track. I got to page 197. 47% of the way through. We're very close to the halfway point, and I'm really enjoying the new character chapter point of views because, like I'm pretty sure I've already said, if you read book 1 and book 2, we're kind of following one character and for a very specific reason, but book 3 we have new character point of views added, and book 4 we have even more character point of views added. So it's really nice to see the progression of the found family in this story and how all the characters come together and we get their own little mini subplots and romance storylines and progression that leads to the overarching storyline for this story, and we see how all these characters are important and how they all come in and connect to like the bigger picture. So it's just really nice. I'm Honestly, I genuinely care so much about these characters, and I think that's why I really loved this series this year, because so many fantasy book series I've picked up and read, and I like one or two of the characters, but I'm not rooting for everyone, and I find that in this story, I'm rooting for everyone. I love everyone. I want everyone to have a happily ever after, and I want them to all have good things, and each new character that gets added in I like even more. So I find personally her characters very likable, and again, there's not too much I can say so far without spoiling things. So all I'm going to say is the last chapter I read, chapter 21, I got chills, goosebumps. So many fantasy romance stories can, especially with Fae and half Fae and humans and magical powers in a high fantasy world, can kind of feel samey every now and again, or a little bit predictable. And that was an element that I was not expecting. And also I love a prophecy. I love a prophecy. I'm gonna put my headphones on and read this, but I'm probably gonna finish this tonight because we only have really another 2 hours of reading, and then I think this book will be done. So I'll have to maybe have time to pick up another book on my TBR. We might have time to start another physical book. That would be fun. Maybe we should do that. Okay, let's go read. So last night I finished A Fate So Dark and Delicate, and I have many thoughts, okay? I did really enjoy it. I thought it was a great conclusion to the trilogy. I felt like everything wrapped up. I'm giving it a 4 stars. I really do love this did I say trilogy? I meant series. I think this is a fantastic fantasy romance series. Again, it's one of my favourite fantasy romance series I stumbled across this year. That hasn't changed. I notoriously never love the last book in a series. It's rare that I'll ever give the final book in a series a 5 stars. For me, the highlights, the best book in the series was book 2. Also love book 1. Book 1 was 5 stars, but book 2 was definitely my favourite in the series, but I think it's a very strong series. I think it's consistent through every book, so definitely still recommend it. Definitely up there as one of my favorites that I've read. That's not changed. Very excited to see what she's writing, because the way that this ended, I feel like we've got a setup for a new series. I could be wrong, I could be so wrong, but genuinely when that happened I was like, oh yeah, because I feel like there is still more to be said and done and explored in this world, but not with these specific characters that we've met. So I have a feeling that the way that this ended, events that transpired in this story are going to progress or maybe into like a new book series, which would be so exciting. And the only reason that I couldn't give this book a 5 star was because some of the romance subplots and storylines of other characters I feel like move quite fast, and I love a slow burn. So completely understand that when you're in the peak of war, you're gonna see life in a certain way and you're gonna want to go for it and grab it. But I think, I don't know, it started happening for everyone, and I was like, wait guys, slow down. We don't have that many pages left. I want to get into everyone's story. I can't do this. So that's literally the only reason why it's not a 5 stars. But I thought it was a fantastic way to wrap up the series. It was very bittersweet, because you obviously want all the characters to be happy. You want a resolution. You want to feel satisfied with the ending, and I did. And you want to find out the answers. You want to figure out the mystery. But then when you do, there's nothing left. There's no more story to continue on with. So now I'm like, I have to leave these characters. I need to say goodbye to this world. So that was fantastic. I am really excited to see what she writes next. I'm also going to go back and read her other series. I believe there are going to be 3 books published, but there's only 2 books out. I'm going to go read that. I am going to read that, but I'm not going to read that in this video because we're going to be working our way through series that we're in the middle of and finishing. Now, I do have to say, today, Brimstone came out, but it's not on my TBR, you know? And I do want to read this, and I do want to read this today, start it today at least, like read a chapter or 2, but I genuinely think that I really want to focus on my physical TBR, so I think I'm going to read The Shadows Between Us next, and then start this. I think that's what we're going to do. There's just too many book series I want to read, too many books I want to read, too many books being published. I can't keep up. It's really hard. So I'm going to read The Shadows Between Us, and then I'm also going to read Brimstone, or start Brimstone. Hopefully, I think I could easily read this today and then start this. That would be good. The Shadows Between Us says, nobody knows the truth about the Shadow King's powers. Some say he can make the shadows that swirl around him do his bidding. Others say they speak to him, whispering the hidden thoughts of his enemies. One thing's for sure, his kingdom is vast and ruthlessly ambitious. Alessandra wants it for herself. Her plan? Woo the Shadow King, marry him, then kill him and take over his domain. But Alessandra's not the only one trying to kill the king. As he dodges assassination attempts, she finds herself trying to keep him alive, long enough to become his queen, all while struggling not to lose her heart. After all, what better match for a Shadow King than a cunning villainous queen? Now, I've read book 2, which is a spin-off following the sister of the FMC in this book, and I really enjoyed it. And again, it's quite short. It's only under 350 pages. I find her writing very fast-paced and entertaining and just really fun to get into, so I'm excited to meet these characters that I've already met in book 2, and I know kind of how it ends up, but I'm in the mood for that type of comedic writing and banter that Trisha Levenseller writes. So we're gonna read this one. I feel like this is fun. This is exactly what I'm in the mood for right now. And then hopefully I'll be feeling up to tackling this. If I'm not, then I won't read it. I'm in such a reading mood at the moment, but I'm trying to balance a mix of reading what I'm in the mood for, but also reading my TBR, you know, getting through the books that I actually want to read in the series that I want to read, and also continuing the series that I'm in the middle of. So that's the plan. Guys, I may or may not have just done something life-changing. Okay, maybe not life-changing, but I'm using a light right now. What is that? Oh, I'm getting a text message, sorry. It's Sophia. I will listen to that after. Hello, Sophia. I may have just done something a little bit life-changing. A content upgrade, shall we say. I usually film in the dark, as you probably have noticed, and I've just noticed over the last couple of weeks that my reading vlogs and normal content, I'm so used to it being light outside, but when I finish work, the sun's set because it starts setting at like 4 p.m. nowadays, or even 3, but there's just no light anymore, like none. So I bought this light and it sits on my camera. This is life-changing. I think maybe I haven't edited the footage, but it can go brighter. I have it as dim as it can go right now because I don't want it to be too harsh, but I'll also leave a link to it down below if you want to check it out and get it too, because I think this is about to change my life. I'm gonna vlog obviously the rest of this video and keep this camera on me so that when it is dark, instead of you having to sit and watch me in the dark or grainy, maybe the quality's a little bit better, but let me know. I'd love to hear your feedback on that. And I'm just coming in to say that we're gonna sit and we're gonna read this whole thing. I don't know what it is. There's just something about the way that Trisha Levenseller writes banter between her characters that it will be page 10 and I'm giggling. I am like, oh, are they gonna, aren't they? And I guess when you have a book that's 350 pages or under, a slow burn can't really exist. It can't really happen. Like, obviously you can still write a slow burn within a story, and I think Elsie Silver can write some really good slow burns in her interconnected standalones because, you know, we're waiting for something to happen, and there are so many romance books I've read where they have managed to do a slow burn in a single book, but again, they're usually still over 400-500 pages even sometimes. So I don't think if you want to go into like the super slowest burn ever, at least in this little duology or duet, I still don't know the difference between the two, but I know there is a difference. I don't know if you would necessarily get that, but I mean, nothing's happened so far, you know, and we're 50 pages in. I walked for 30 minutes today because I'm doing my 30 minutes of walking on my walking pad every day for the next 30 days. So every day I'm doing them, and we read 52 pages. It was my first time reading a physical book on my walking pad. I read a Kindle book yesterday and we got 72 pages. So again, reading varies depending on what you're reading and stuff, but I thought the physical book would maybe be more difficult to read on the walking pad, and surprisingly it's not, at least this one, because it's printed at a good size. But I think if I was trying to read a Brandon Sanderson book on there, thoughts and prayers, good luck, honestly, that's definitely not going to happen. But 52 pages in, what is it, chapter 7? Chapter 6. So we've only read that. We still have all of this to read. So still quite a bit to go through, but I'm gonna fly through this. It's exactly what I'm wanting. I'm eating it up right now, you know? So banter is there. I just wanted something fun, something fast paced, something where the characters are kind of like hating each other and there's magic involved. We've got court politics. I love a royal court. I love it. We have a female main character who, I mean, I guess Trisha Levenseller in the 2 books I've read of hers, like, she does just write female characters that are like, why can't a woman do this? Why can't I do this? you know, men are doing that. Why can't I do it too? And I know her most recent release kind of takes that to the extreme, but it's kind of making me want to go and pick that up. So I'm just having a lot of fun with this, and I cannot wait to see where the story continues to go, because obviously some parts of it I know what happens, but other parts I don't. But there's just, oh, her sense of humor and the comedy in this series, at least, I really enjoy it. I love it. I'm having so much fun with it. So I'm definitely going to finish this tonight. Like, there is no way that I'm not going to have this finished tonight. Oh, did you hear that crunch? That's the edges. I'm gonna sit, go put some headphones on, I'm gonna read this. I'm also gonna hop into bed and read because I'm already tired. So let's read for a little bit here. So I've just been reading in bed. I'm feeling sleepy. I'm just gonna continue reading until I decide to go to sleep, but I might not even finish this book today. But it definitely means I'll be able to read Brimstone tomorrow. But this has been the perfect book for me to pick today. It's exactly what I was in the mood for and what my brain can kind of handle. I think if I went into Brimstone today, it probably would have been a bit too much, but I've started seeing people post about reading Brimstone and it's getting me excited for that. But there is more happening in this story than the second book, so I kind of understand why people were telling me that if I enjoyed book 2 then I'd most definitely enjoy book 1, and a lot of people who read book 1 were a little bit disappointed with book 2, so I'm glad I read them in the opposite order because I am really enjoying this series. But there's part of the mystery element in this storyline that I haven't predicted, or I don't really have too many theories on, so it is keeping me on my toes, but I'm having a lot of fun reading it. Okay, it's actually a couple days later. I have been so busy working, I've not been able to properly sit and read more than just like 30 minutes the last day, 2 days. But since the last update, I did finish The Shadows Between Us. I did read this. I did enjoy it. I actually think I enjoyed it just as much as I enjoyed book 2. I did enjoy book 2, so this was a 3.5 star read. I think it's a fun, very bingeable, very fun, very giggly romantasy. If you want just like that typical romantasy that's gonna hit, you want a bit of tension, and where, you know, they're starting out kind of enemies, not wanting to get close to each other, but with a forced proximity situation, they kind of come together to you know, solve this bigger mystery and piece together this bigger part of the story. I really do like the way that Trisha Levenseller writes. I think her main female characters are so interesting. I think they're very strong female main characters and very different to other female main characters that I read, because they're not afraid to be unlikable. They're not afraid to be the most kindest, nicest, perfect example of how a woman should look. They actually kind of do the opposite of that, and they're not afraid to be outspoken and have their opinions and be a little bit of a bitch, which is kind of refreshing to read, because also if I was a fantasy character in this kind of situation where I do have the opportunity to be a queen or to take power for myself and I live in a world dominated by men, I would probably internally think that a little bit. So it's nice to hear a character on page say that, rather than more of the meeker female main characters that we're used to in similar fantasy stories with court politics like this. So I don't know, I think it's just a bit of a breath of fresh air reading female main characters like this who are supposed to be a little unlikable, not in the way where they're intentionally written to be unlikable. It's just as a society we have decided that women who have opinions and think and speak like this are unlikable. Does that make sense? So I think the books in this are a little bit dark. They give you that enemies to lovers hit when you're in the mood for it, but 2 books in a duology that are interconnected standalones, I think they're very fun reads. Nice to break up the different books that I read in a month, so really happy with that. And now that's another series completed, so ticked off that book. That was also my TBR for the month. And I did in fact start Quicksilver. I am 116 pages in and I'm really enjoying it so far. It's I don't know, it just, when I'm reading this book, in my head there's just heavy metal background music playing. It's such like a dark, broody vibe, quite serious, and then you have Carrion come into scene and just say the most out-of-pocket hilarious thing that lightens the story and really gives it another layer of depth or dimension with just his wit. And it's fun. It makes it such a fun read, because I think without Carrion as a character, not that he necessarily carries the whole story, because I think a lot of the characters in this story are very strong and quite integral, but I definitely think Carrion is my favourite character in this, and he brings a different side to this story. And you know, dark fantasy romances can all kind of blur together. They all kind of use similar tropes and similar things, similar feelings. It start out a little bit similar. There's so many overlaps with so many dark fantasy romance series, but this one does read different, and I think Carrion is a big part of that because, like I said, the rest of the characters, the storyline, the stakes, the plot, it all feels quite important and high stakes, serious. And then there's just Carrion. I'm loving seeing him. It's definitely perfect to read at this time of year. I think I've got some work that I still need to do today. I can't jump into it, but if I can get through at least like 2/3 of the story tonight, that would be fantastic. I'd love to be able to just sit and read. I can't figure out so far where this story is going. I can't even predict where it's going to end. I just know that the ending is probably going to be insane. Everything the author has been posting leading up to this book and how she's felt writing it and the emotional experience of that and the ending of the book, like what she's hinted at and teased, I'm just expecting the worst. So I'm hoping that I can go into it and not be completely devastated, but I'm also hoping to feel some things. But I'm definitely a book binger. I definitely need to binge a book to really get into it and love it. And props to anyone who can read a few chapters each evening in that way, because I just can't. I need to throw myself in. I am an all or nothing type of person. I think that's just my personality and how I am, but I'm itching to sink my teeth into this book and to truly get into the meat, because we are only scratching the surface. We're over 10% of the way through, but that's barely nothing compared to what's probably to come. The book is dual point of view, unlike book one, so we're getting information about Kingfisher. I'll catch up with you guys later and continue to read Brimstone. Happy Sunday. Well, it's Sunday when I'm filming this. It's not gonna be Sunday when you're watching this. I am officially over halfway through this book. This book came out on Tuesday. It's Sunday. Why haven't I finished it yet? It's because I've been editing. I've spent the last 2 days editing, and I've only been able to read like 60, 70 pages here and there. I haven't been able to fully binge it yet, and my last clip was saying I'm gonna binge it and finish it. I didn't. I actually just edited for the rest of the evening, so we are going to finish it today. I've read 70 pages so far this morning, and we're on page 387. The book is 650 pages, so very close to the end. I find the writing is very easy to read and very easy to get like sucked into the story, and you can just binge it. I just haven't had the time. So now that I have a Sunday free, I'm gonna sit and read this book. Cooper's also sitting on my lap because she's decided that's where she wants to be. So I've made a coffee, I'm sat down to read my book. The hardcover is honestly just flopping open like this. I quite like that, to be honest, but I've started to see people's reviews for this and everyone's giving it 5 stars. I don't know if it will be a 5-star read for me. I mean, I've not gotten to the end yet, and sometimes the way that the book ends and how the storyline ties together, it can make it a 5-star and give you that feeling. But when I read Quicksilver, I loved it and I gave it a 4.75 star. So I didn't even rate Quicksilver 5-star, but it was one of my favorite fantasy romance books that I read last year. But I don't know what it is. I just haven't gotten that 5-star feeling yet from this series. And that's the only reason why it hasn't been rated to 5 stars, because again, I believe 5 stars is a feeling. So I haven't got 5-star feelings yet, but I've also been reading only a few chapters every day and not being able to properly get into this book. So I don't know, but so far I've just seen raving reviews and also just people wanting the next book immediately, and I think it's safe to say there's probably going to be a cliffhanger. So I'm going to put my headphones on, listen to my brown noise, and we're going to finish this book today. And you know what? We might even read another book after. We might even continue another series. Why not? We'll see. We'll see how long it takes me to finish this. So we finished Brimstone. Wow, the ending. Was not expecting what happened at the end, and I am very, very excited for book 3 now. I think because it had taken me so many days of just reading a couple chapters here and there, I couldn't get into the book as much as I had wanted to, and whenever I binge a book in 1 or 2 sittings, I always seem to rate it higher. Like, I've spoken about that quite a lot. I don't know why my brain works like that, but it does. But I really did enjoy this, and I think it is a very consistent series. I liked it around the same as much as I enjoyed book 1, but because I was able to binge book 1 a little bit more, I remember being like obsessed with it and it kind of consuming me, and this didn't give me those exact same feelings, but I still think it was a really good book, a really good story. I'm very, very excited for book 3, the next one that we get. The plot reveals, I was not expecting to get them, and like the plot twists, and I thought the author would maybe drag out some of those things, so I was very pleasantly surprised to have found out those things. It was exciting as a reader. I felt like we were getting something. It felt satisfying. I also think we got a lot of politics in this book and a lot of navigating the different areas and courts, which was thoroughly entertaining. I feel like we had a little bit more action battle scenes in book 1, but everything in this story felt intentional. Yeah, it's really fun to watch all the puzzle pieces kind of come together and to figure out all those unanswered questions we have. But wow, what do we read now? I could end this vlog here, but I'm gonna read another book. We're either going to read The Bane Chronicles or we're going to read Morningstar, and I think we have to read Morningstar because it's on my TBR for the month and I want to get this read, so I think that's the next book that we're going to pick up. The 3rd book in the original Red Rising trilogy. There are 3 more books in the Red Rising series out after, but the Red Rising first 3 books were originally a trilogy, and then I believe the 4th book onwards kind of shifts story and maybe time frame a little bit, but I'm ready for this. I'm ready. I've been excited to get back into it after reading Golden Sun when Cami picked that for me to read last month, and I think it's time. I'm ready to read it, but I don't think I'm ready, you know? And then that will be pretty satisfying because that means that we will be getting up to date with 4 book series, so my 16 should go down to 12, and I'm sure it's going to go back up again with new releases, but I feel good with that. I feel comfortable. So let's start Morningstar by P.S. Brown. So I started Morningstar and I'm around 25% of the way through right now. We're just under a quarter and it really has picked up right from where book 2 ends, and I'm really afraid. Because Bailey told me, I think, that P.S. Brown does this thing where if he doesn't really know what character to kill off, he just picks names out of a jar and then that will decide, you know, who's gonna die. So I know that he's not afraid to be completely ruthless and just completely emotionally traumatize readers. But I'm holding out for a happily ever after, you know? I'm holding out for a resolution, and especially in, I found the first Red Rising book, there were some scenes where we were just being told what was happening for these massive time jumps, but like weren't being completely shown them. And we're kind of doing that a little bit again at the start of this book, but I think that that is just how he writes his time jumps. He'll be like, now it's months later and this is everything that's happened in this month. And then you'll be in the moment, and then a few chapters later there's another time jump and we're not really seeing it, we're just being told that there's a time jump and everything that's happened during that time jump. And typically with other books and authors I read, we usually get a bit more of the showing and less of the telling, but I don't really mind too much because again, we are dealing with something like war where it cannot be completely resolved in a small time frame. So I understand that unless we want the books to be like 700-800 pages long, there's going to be some time jumps. But I am so connected to these characters. Like I genuinely care so much about all of the characters, and Bailey did a ranking on her TikTok of her favorite characters in order of favorites, and I kind of have the exact same ranking. I love Mustang, I love Victra, I love Ragnar. Severo is one of my favorites. Obviously we have Darrow. I think they're my top 5. Not in that order, but they're my top 5. And the top of the back of the blurb says, if this is the end, I will rage toward it. So I'm a little bit scared. Just a little bit scared. Honestly, I found the first book a little bit slow. Like the first part of the first book I enjoyed, but the second part with the timing again, that's just one thing I just don't seem to wrap my head around, is how P.S. Brown writes time. Because we had these trials, an element of trials in the first book that spanned like an entire year, but it was only half of the book, you know? So yeah, just the way that he writes time, and then we have long stretches of time and then a time jump and then a small stretch of time and then another time jump. It's not super consistent. I think that's what trips me up, because the pacing of that kind of like go, then we stop, then we go, then we stop. But it works for this story in this world. So I'm not super put off by it. I'm just not used to it. But anyways, it is almost 11 p.m. so I'm gonna hop into bed and read a little bit more until I fall asleep. And then once I fall asleep, we'll wake up in the morning. I've got 30 minutes in the morning to walk on my walking pad and do some reading. But I just wanted to check in with you guys, let you know that I've read just under a quarter of this book and I am enjoying it. I definitely think that the books get better in the series as they go. Book 1 I enjoyed, but book 2 I loved. And book 3 I'm also loving so far, so good sign. I'm just afraid, I'm very afraid. So we have 30 pages of the book left to read, just 30, just this. I read so much of this last night. Insane amount of reading was done last night in bed because I could not put it down. What do you mean? Now I can see how this was the original trilogy, but how there's still so much more left to explore in this world, so I'm very intrigued to see what the situational setup for the next books in the series are. Pierce Brown does this thing where he will scare you into thinking something's gonna happen, and it's terrifying, and it's a false alarm, and then it actually does happen. It's insane. It genuinely is insane. Now, when I read book 1, I thought it was a good book. I enjoyed it, but it wasn't a favorite and I didn't really see the hype. I see the hype now. I see the hype. I think with book 2 was a significant jump up for me. It just flowed really well. The anticipation and stakes were high. We had all of that world building from book 1 where we could really get into the nitty gritty of it, but war in space, never thought it would be for me, but this is. I'm really, really scared though for how it's gonna happen because I kind of had to stop in the middle of a... No. Yeah, I kind of had to stop right in the middle of the ending action because I did read like 50 pages this morning on my walking pad, but I had to put it down because then I had things to do. So we're back. We're going to finish the last 30 pages and we're going to finish the original Red Rising trilogy. I'm so afraid. And also, yes, there are more books to continue in this series, so technically this is a series that I'm not like fully ticking off, but I am ticking it off because I only had like physical copies of the original Red Rising trilogy. I believe the next books after that are like an expansion and not following the exact same viewpoint and character as the trilogy. It opens up a bit more, or at least that's what I've been told. I'm counting it as 2 different series. So when I finish this one, I can then start the next one, but we will have gotten this video down to 12 book series. I completed 4 from the original 16, which is fantastic. Since filming this, another book series has had a new release in it and has come out, so we get some book series out of the way, we read them, we complete series we're in the middle of, we get up to date. There's always more to come. And that's the beauty of it. The beauty of having a TBR and reading is there is an endless pool of books out there to read. But anyways, I'm gonna put my headphones on. Cooper is sat on my lap, so we're gonna get cozy and read this ending here. Wish me luck, guys. I'm very afraid. Brown noise on, we're locked in. I have goosebumps, I have chills. I think that this was one of the best endings to a series that I have ever read. Those last 30 pages, I generally didn't think that that much could happen. 5 stars. I think that was one of the best books that I read all year. Wow. Ah, goosebumps. I'm excited to continue on with the books in this world, but again, like I said earlier, in my head this was originally a trilogy, so I've read the first trilogy, so that's done, that's completed. Now I can move on with the series and start the next books. I'm going to spend the rest of the evening by starting another book. I still have some books on my TBR that I need to be read, so we'll see if we can complete my TBR before the end of the month. But that was, yeah, I'm completely speechless. That was actually insane. I think this was a very successful video. I think we managed to tick off some more books, complete some more series in the middle of, read a lot of my physical TBR. I'm feeling wonderful with the reads that we've read. Wow. What a way to end it and end this video. That's incredible. That's insane. I need to go send Bailey a voice message now. But anyways, thank you so much for watching this video. If you've made it all the way to the end, let me know in the comments below how many book series you're in the middle of, and I will see you guys in the next vlog. Bye.